Hey, everybody. Welcome
How's it going,
to
everybody?
this week's episode of With All Due Respect. We are your hosts. I'm Ryan Shead. That's Marcus Flowers. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good, brother. How about you?
I'm doing good, man. I'm actually excited for this week. We have Robb Ryerse, who's running for Congress in Arkansas, 3rd District, with us today.
Arkansas's third, against the Republican incumbent, Steve Womack.
Yep. So this is exactly why we started this show, was to start bringing people like Robb on to help amplify his voice, his platform, his campaign, and that way we can start helping these folks make money, because money wins elections.
Absolutely.
So with that, I did want to start with a little breaking news for those who may not have heard. There was a mass shooting at Fort Stewart earlier this afternoon, and injuring at least 5 soldiers that they took to the hospital. We checked just before we went on live, and there were no updates on any casualties. So as of now, it's 5 people injured at the hospital. So, we're thinking of them, sending prayers and good vibes and all of that. And, definitely happy that it didn't lead to anything worse.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
So,
as we know,
yeah, man,
we've just seen these shootings on bases that have gone a lot worse, with Fort Hood back in 2009.
Yeah.
Where,
but
killed.
We talked a little bit real quick too about just reminding folks of how uncommon it is for somebody to get on base and do something like that.
Absolutely.
Like it's not common. So I just hope folks out there, realize that and keep in mind that we still have a gun issue and a shooting issue here in the United States, on top of everything else that we're dealing with. But speaking of dealing with things, let's talk about Robb Ryerse, who's here to run for Congress and actually represent the people. And what I like about him is he is somebody that's not just looking to represent Arkansas. He's looking to represent Americans and actually change things. So, Robb, thank you so much for coming on the show and giving us a few minutes of your time. I know you've been traveling all over this past weekend, so thank you.
Yeah, thanks, guys. It's great.
Welcome to the show, Robb.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, how did you and Marcus meet?
Yeah, so I have been, since 2018, I've been the political director of the national group called Vote Common Good. And the mission of Vote Common Good is to get religious voters, particularly white evangelicals and white Catholics, to support Democrats. And so we launched a Candidates for Common Good initiative when Marcus was running for Congress, and he was one of our candidates for Common Good, and had the chance to have him on my podcast back then, and we've stayed in touch ever since. And yeah, really enjoy his friendship.
Good. I mean, and I tell you, when I met Robb back in, I want to say it was early in 2021. I want to say that summer of 21 was when we first came across each other. Our districts are very similar. He's up in the northwest corner of Arkansas. I'm in the northwest corner of Georgia. And, there are a lot of evangelicals in both of those districts. So Robb and I had a lot to talk about, both men of faith. Republicans have kind of tried to take the high ground as far as, having voters of faith. And I never thought that was the case. I think there's just as many Christian Democrats as there are Republican
Catholic
Christians and Catholics, what have you.
Yeah.
But this evangelical thing, and Robb's going to get into that a little bit more. I think they kind of hijacked politics and put their faith over it. And, Robb, without me talking too much about it, I want to hear about your vision for your district, and tell us a little bit about your district first and who you're running against.
Yeah. So Arkansas's 3rd Congressional District is, like you said, in the northwest corner of Arkansas. It is. It encompasses the cities of Bentonville, Rogers, Springdale, Fayetteville, Fort Smith. People might, when they hear the word Bentonville, they might think, "Oh, I think I know that from somewhere." Well, it's probably from like the back of a semi truck that you've been driving behind, because especially if it's a Walmart branded semi truck.
Okay.
Its Walmart global headquarters is in Bentonville, Arkansas.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so we have a really Walmart dominated economy here. I
Okay.
always joke, shop local, go to Walmart, because for us it is.
That is, yeah.
Yeah. And then Tyson Foods is here. And their global headquarters is in Springdale, Arkansas,
Okay.
and then we've got the University of Arkansas, the Razorbacks, and so it's a really interesting district because
It's beautiful up there as well. So
it's absolutely gorgeous. But it really is because of Walmart's influence. It really is in a lot of ways a global crossroads. There's people from
Yeah.
all over the country that move here. Walmart has a policy that basically any product you could buy in a Walmart store, so that's basically any consumer product good, those companies have to have offices here. And because
Oh, wow.
they just want that convenience. So every
That
consumer
like
product.
is your economy there
Yeah.
then.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes, it is. It is.
Yeah.
But it brings people in from all over the country, and it's an amazing place. It's a beautiful place. Just some real special diversity. It's the largest Marshallese population. People from the Marshall Islands live
okay.
in my town of Springdale. It's really a fantastic place to live. We moved here 20 years ago and absolutely love it. Can't imagine living anywhere else.
So would you say that it has stimulated the diversity in your area then?
Yeah, for sure. There's a couple of factors for that. We have a high Hispanic population. A lot of those folks are working in like the chicken factories for
Okay.
Tyson and George's that are all over. Um, and then we've got, for whatever reason, the United States, tested the atomic bomb on the Marshall Islands,
Yeah.
and so as a oopsie, we're sorry.
displaced a lot of
You
people.
can come
Yeah.
here now.
Yeah, you can come here now. And for some reason, and I don't know exactly why, but the Marshallese folks picked Springdale, Arkansas as the place, and there's more Marshallese folks here than just about anywhere in the world other than the Marshall Islands.
I am very interested now of why that is.
Yeah, it's super interesting. And like so, it's like my daughter's school, and we've got the meet your parent or meet your teacher event tonight at my daughter's school. There'll be signs or you get the text messages from the school. They're in English, they're in Spanish, and they're in Marshallese, which is just fantastic.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I can
It's
tell
really
you
great.
something about that parallel that runs through North Georgia, North Alabama, North Mississippi, Northern Arkansas. For some reason, that's the best place to raise chickens.
Mm.
I mean, here in Georgia, in that little area in North Georgia, Northwest Georgia, I mean, per capita, we raise more chickens than anybody in the world. So, and you guys are sitting on that exact same
Yep.
parallel as well,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, Springdale, where I live, because Tyson is based here, it's jokingly called Chickendale. That's that. Yeah, but so this district, let me tell you what my vision for this district is, because you asked about that, Marcus. My vision is that this district would have a representative who actually represents the people who live here. My opponent's a guy named Steve Womack. He's been in Congress for a bunch of years now. He is bought and paid for by the big corporations, all of the corporate donors that buy and pay for all of those politicians. He is right in line with them. He's also completely and totally a rubber stamp for Donald Trump. I've been traveling around the district, I've been saying to folks, we had this amazing No Kings event, about a month ago or so.
Mhm.
Yeah.
5,000 people showed up in Fayetteville. It was absolutely fantastic. Every story we tell ourselves, whether it's a fairy tale or a Disney movie or a Bible story, whatever it might be, like the evil king always has henchmen to do his bidding.
Absolutely.
And he can't get anything done without the henchmen to carry out his orders.
Yep.
Steve Womack, my opponent, is a henchman for Donald Trump. Now, he doesn't think of himself that way. He thinks of himself as, super principled and independent and objective, but he's not. He goes along with what Donald Trump wants 100% of the time. And so what that means for people here in our district is they don't have somebody standing up for them. They don't have somebody like who cares about whether or not they're going to be able to afford dinner tonight.
Yeah.
Whether grandma's going to be able to go, to her doctor's appointment, or if she's going to miss it because she can't afford it. We've got families in our district that are terrified that, masked federal agents are going to show up and rip their families apart.
Right.
And
Yeah.
Steve Womack, he doesn't care. And I think the job of a representative is to represent, it's literally the job title, right? Be a representative. It's literally what you're supposed to do.
Represent the people who sent
Well, we
you.
voted
That's
for
right.
you. Yeah, exactly.
And the people of this district don't feel represented. And so it's time to change that.
And not
So-
just represent, but represent their best interest
Yes.
and vote your conscience. I mean, as men of faith, we talk about, doing the right thing, voting your conscience. What would Jesus do? I guarantee you, and you tell me if I'm wrong, Steve Womack was right there in line with the rest of the Republicans voting for the quote unquote big, beautiful bill
Yeah.
that's going to, gut Medicaid and,
Well,
rural
yeah.
hospitals, in places like where we live, rural hospitals are going away.
Yep.
That is going to hurt so many people.
Mm-hmm.
And what about the economy?
Yeah.
Well,
I haven't seen prices go down.
Yeah.
But I
There was.
don't hear the
they're going
uproar about the price of eggs and the price of everything anymore.
Yeah.
Are you hearing the same in your district?
100%. Yeah. So I don't know if you saw, Forbes had an article that came out this week with some new polling that they had done. And it's 90% of Americans are stressed out about the cost of groceries.
Hell, I'm one of them.
I know.
Me too. Us too.
I know. And we typically, when I go grocery shopping, we typically go to 3 different grocery stores because we know okay, we can get this cheapest here. We can get this cheapest there. And that's the reality of life, is that you have people shouldn't have to live like this.
No.
People should be able to just afford their groceries and live their lives. And so much of I think there's a number of factors that have gone into why the cost of living has gone up so much, whether it's groceries, whether it's healthcare, whether it's housing. Here in Northwest Arkansas since 2019, home prices have gone up 70%. Rent has gone up 50% in the last 5 years. And I did a tour of the district this weekend where we were with voters all over the district. And at everyone, I asked folks, have any of your income gone up 50% in the last 5 years?
Nope.
Nobody's hand went up, So people are stressed out about this.
Hey.
And it's because of the tariffs. That's having an impact on things. I mean, it's just a terrible idea. It's corporations that realize that they can juice their profits and pump up their profits on the backs of people. And it's, our over reliance on gasoline and coal products, quite frankly.
I mean, it's
And,
open
there's
season.
so many different factors that play. And we've got a government that what they're doing is they're cutting Elon Musk taxes and, cutting taxes for the billionaires instead of addressing the stuff that people actually care about.
I wanted to ask you actually directly about that. You talk about Walmart, being such a big part of your economy there and everybody being so dependent on it. And Walmart itself has come out and stated that tariffs are going to drastically increase prices for their products. And most of their products are imported from overseas somewhere. So
a lot of them from China.
So how, are these tariffs going to affect your district disproportionately to other districts because Walmart is so big there?
Yes, and there's going to be 2 things for our districts. One is the average person in our district who shops at Walmart, and frankly, we have the best Walmarts in the world here in Northwest.
I bet.
Because
Imagine.
any given Walmart, Doug McMillan, the CEO, could walk into your store. So we've got the best,
Clean,
Walmart.
stocked, and ready to go. Yep.
Yeah. But there was a study that was done a couple weeks ago that was released. Average prices of normal kind of consumer product goods in Walmart are up 51% since the tariffs went into place. And it's absolutely having an impact. So just everyday people who are going shopping have an impact on it. But yes, as people spend less, as people search for even lower dollar opportunities shopping at Dollar General or other places that might even be cheaper than Walmart, all of that will cost jobs here in this district. There are hundreds of companies that are here that are consumer product good companies that it's like Walmart's the big whale and we've got like all these little fish that are swimming along next to the whale, like that's and so yes, this district will suffer disproportionately, not just in terms of cost of living, but in actual jobs that are dependent on a thriving economy, which we don't have under this president.
And how has your opponent, Steve Womack, how has he voted, or how is he? What has he said about tariffs publicly?
Yeah, he's all in favor of what Donald Trump's doing. He voted for the One Big Beautiful Bill. He hasn't said too much about tariffs in particular. He likes to talk a lot about fiscal responsibility and the deficit and the national debt and all of that stuff. But when push comes to shove, it doesn't actually
added 3.8 trillion to it. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, and all the while they're wanting to take people's health care away and privatize the VA.
Mm-hmm.
This is, again, you got Walmart's the big fish in your area. It's big here where I live too. We don't have many options as well. But again, I just feel like it's open season on the American consumer, i.e. the American voter. People, we need to vote for those who are going to fight for us.
Yep.
Not just serve lip service for Mike Johnson and, as you said, Ryan, be Donald Trump's henchman and do whatever he says do. No, they're going to fight for the people and represent the people of their district.
Yep.
Literally the job.
Literally the job.
District.
And
vote
with that,
in their best interest. Vote your conscience. That's what it's all about.
The next thing I wanted us to talk about, because I'm pretty sure all three of us are men of faith. And so you being a pastor, that interested me because so often we see the right use their faith, their religion, to push their agenda. And a lot of the times on the left, we are pushing the separation of church and state. Mm-hmm. So I know there are several, like Reverend Warnock and stuff like that, but you really don't see a lot of pastors and men of faith on the left, very open about it at least, running for office these days. And what can people expect from you, though? Or what is your, I guess a better way to put it would be, what is your position on the separation of your faith versus what your duties would be to all the people in your district?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's a tremendously important one because it's gotten so blurred over the last 40 years or so. But even more than that, you can almost go back to the founding of the country, even before the country was founded. We have been it is as American as apple pie to wrestle with the relationship between religion and government. Like this is something all the way back to the Pilgrims, this is something that we have constantly wrestled with as a nation and continue to do so. Here's what I think. I think there's a difference between what I believe personally and what motivates me personally and what policies or kind of public things I want to put into practice. And so what I mean by that is like, I am very much motivated by the example of Jesus, and how Jesus interacted with people, how he cared for people. His talking about taking care of the least of these, caring for the poor, the needy, standing with the marginalized, all of that stuff, like really inspiring to me and motivating to me. But when it comes to talking about why we need SNAP benefits not to be cut, or why we need to protect Medicaid and make sure that, grandma's able to go to her doctor's appointment, I'm not going to appeal to Matthew 25, in the Bible, as the rationale for that, because that, like, that's not the way that's not how we do things in America. Because in the same way that, when I'm serving next to Ilhan Omar, who's a Muslim woman whose faith absolutely inspires her and motivates her. If she were to use the Quran as an argument for why we should do something, I would have the same response of like, no. But what we've seen on the Republican side of things is not that perspective. It's very much the perspective, and that we've seen a growth in what's called Christian nationalism, often called white Christian nationalism, but the reality is it's not just a problem in white churches. Christian nationalism is growing maybe more quickly anywhere else than anywhere else.
We were warning about this in 2021. Yes. You and I both.
Yeah.
Rob.
Growing by leaps and bounds in Hispanic churches, particularly Pentecostal and charismatic Hispanic churches. So it's not just
which would explain the voting demographic in 2024.
100% it does. Yeah. But what Christian nationalism says is that Christianity should have a place of privilege in America, that it should kind of, we might accept other people, but we're the hosts, we're the standard, we're like the normal, and everything else is a deviation from that, is diversity from that. And so as a result of that, there's this desire to, and like anything, there's a spectrum. There's some folks that simply want Christianity to have a place of preference in our culture. They say, oh, we're a Christian nation, all the way to the other extreme of like folks who want to have like a theocracy where, our leaders must be Christian, must follow the Bible. That's the basis for the laws that we ought to have. And there's a lot of problems with that. I think as a 30-year pastor, I think Christian nationalism is really bad for the church. And as a person who loves our country, I think Christian nationalism is really bad for America too. And so like when we merge these two things together and we don't have that clear separation, that's going to be a real problem. And listen, if I can't make the case for why, if I can only make a religious case for why we should take care of each other, like that's, I like, come on. Like, it's like we're human beings. There's like the common good is such an important thing. We've got to do what's best for everybody, not just what's best for, the richest among us.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's something you said in your response. I mean, thinking, your neighboring state, Oklahoma.
Yep.
Who right now they are putting the 10 Commandments back into school. As a man of faith, of course, we look at the 10 Commandments and we know that they're important. But is having the 10 Commandments in the classroom more important than feeding hungry kids in the classroom? Right. How is that going to help those kids make it through the day and get through school? We know when kids are fed, they're more open to learning and doing better in school, and their test scores improve. We got to get.
It feels like let's call it what it is, guys. It's a way of grooming kids. Yeah. I think we associate grooming children with, predators, but it's not. There's other ways to groom people.
Yeah.
You can groom people using cult tactics to kind of do whatever you want to do. And that's what I feel like we're watching. And for me personally, you know, the difference between listening to somebody like you, Rob, and listening to somebody on the right is that their hypocrisy knows no bounds. And I've realized that people like your opponent would likely nail Jesus to the cross themselves and hand Donald Trump the spear. So it's just we, the three of us, and so many people that call themselves liberals and Democrats, you know, we understand the separation of church and state. I understand that my faith is my faith, but I also understand the definition of faith.
Yeah.
And that's why I know my faith, that hopefully I get to see my dad again. Hopefully there's a heaven and all those things, like you said, should have zero impact on decisions that are made for all Americans.
Yes.
And that's what it always needs to boil down to is not everybody's Christian, not everybody's Catholic, not everybody practices religion. So you can't come out as a president or a government and say, we're only going to recognize this and we're only going to protect Christians. It's like, what about all the other people?
Yeah. Yeah. And I would even say, whose Christianity are we using?
Who's
Yes,
Christian?
sir.
There's a lot of variation,
Yes, sir.
even within the Christian faith itself, you know.
And then if you want to give a little bit of a history lesson, how many of the founding fathers do you think were actually Christian?
Very
Many
few.
of them.
Very few. Yeah, most of them were what we call deists, who believed that God exists, but didn't believe in a God who intervenes in the world. Thomas Jefferson famously had the Jefferson Bible, which he went through the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and literally with a pair of scissors cut out all of the miraculous works of Jesus, any references to Jesus's deity, and simply kept the moral teachings of Jesus. That's what Thomas
without the fluff, basically.
Yeah. Which is funny. I haven't talked about it much for a while, but I did a little project this summer where I did just kind of the opposite, where I call it the gospel according to Donald Trump. It's Matthew, Mark, and Luke, and John. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, the Gospels, the first 4 books of the New Testament, with everything that Donald Trump wouldn't like redacted out, and so it's basically the
Blank
opposite.
pages,
It's like all of the moral teaching is taken out.
You got rid of all the red letters in there. Huh?
Yes, exactly. And what's so interesting that what you're left with. You're left with a Jesus who performs miracles. He shows off his power.
Yeah.
And he gets a following. He gets famous. Power and fame is what you're left with.
Yeah.
And when you think about, what's Donald Trump all about? Power and fame. Yeah.
Smoke and mirrors.
Yeah. And I mean, if anybody wants to check out the Gospel according to Donald Trump, I mean, you can literally buy I published it as a book that you can buy, and it's hilarious because it's just like all of these redacted pages. It's really fantastic.
Yeah, among everything else,
You actually want to check that out.
You can find it on Amazon and other places.
So,
Donald Trump.
The last thing before we wrap up with you, and again, thank you so much for coming on with us. You're actually our first guest, so that's something nobody can take away from you, sir. But a question that Marcus and I like to ask it's a 2-part question, and it is there anybody that mentored you, that really helped you get to where you are today, running for office and really wanting to make a difference? And on the flip side, is there anybody that you are currently mentoring or that you see in your local politics that we all should be focusing on?
Now, this person can be living or dead. I mean,
yeah.
Like John Lewis was my idol, and that's someone whose example I've followed. Wasn't technically a mentor, but someone I followed.
Yeah, it's such a great question. I think I'm gonna probably go. We've talked about the fact that I'm a Christian pastor, and we've talked about the separation of church and state and all of that. But I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go a little bit maybe unexpected direction. I have been over the last several years been really deeply impacted by the life and the teaching of a guy named Ram Dass. He was
Okay.
he was a Harvard professor who was involved with testing out psychedelics and that kind of stuff
Okay.
in the early 60s and at Harvard, got fired from Harvard, ended up going to India and basically became like a long-haired robe wearing guru who brought the teachings of Hinduism and Buddhism back to the United States. And I'll tell you the thing that Ram Dass wrote a book that the title of which I think is just, I mean, it feels like the whole summary of what it is to be human.
Hmm.
And in one of the books that he wrote, the title is "Be Here Now."
Mm.
And I'm like, if
Yeah.
if you were to put in 3 words, like what
It
we
hits.
need to do as humans, is we need to be present
Present.
here
Now. Yep.
now. And it's so easy to be somewhere else in our minds, be somewhere else in our emotions, to miss the people we're with because we're
Phones.
we're in the future worrying, or we're in the past regretting. But be here now, that's something that it is just deeply resonates with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
That
when I think about, folks, with my work at Vote Common Good, I've had the privilege to travel all over the country, meeting candidates. I've done events all over the United States with candidates who are running for office, and met so many that I really, really like. And there's people like Rebecca Cook, who's running for Congress in Wisconsin. That this is her 3rd shot at it, and man, she's fantastic. But there's a guy in Ohio who ran for Congress in this last cycle. His name is Jared Christian,
Mhm.
and I would joke, I would say like, "Hey, we should send our Christian to Congress." I would just joke with him
I
that
like
way.
it.
Um, but Jared is so interesting. Growing up not far from where JD Vance grew up,
Mhm.
growing up with all sorts of struggles in his family, um, and yet has served our country, made a really amazing life for himself and his family, and has become a real strong leader in central and in rural Ohio. And I think like when I meet people like Jared, and when I see the impact he's having,
Mhm.
even though he hasn't been elected to office yet,
Yeah.
but when I see the impact he's having, um, it gives me a lot of hope about the future of the country.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
That's one of the things I do talk about all the time, how important it is to compete everywhere as
Yes.
Democrats. And, I competed in a district that I shouldn't have competed in or been competitive in against
Yep.
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yep.
You're competing in,
Yeah.
a district where you shouldn't be competitive. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
God,
What I,
we've got to show up and we've got to
yes.
fight those fights.
Yes.
We've got to
Yes.
have them. It's so important. And like
Yes.
you said,
Too many campaigns. It's like when you go to a state park or a national park, you go out for a hike or you go camping or something, and you see that sign that says "Leave no trace."
Mhm.
Make it look like you were never here.
Yep.
Far too many political campaigns leave no trace.
Absolutely.
And every time somebody runs for office, it's like starting over again. And when we
Yeah.
don't invest in infrastructure, political infrastructure, when we don't have a long-term view of this thing, and we're not trying to compete everywhere, like we end up with these like lands, like these districts far and wide where, it feels like Democrats have never even, hiked these trails.
Yep.
And we need to do it.
That's so important.
In my district, you look back over the last several years, several elections, Democratic candidates gotten 32%, 35%, 34%, 33%. It's just real even.
Yeah.
And I've had so many people say to me, "Oh, that's the ceiling. That's the best we can do." And my response consistently has been, "No, that's the floor.
Yeah.
That's where we're starting from,
Yep.
and we're gonna build from there."
That's it.
And
I like that.
Yeah, and get
And that
close.
was the thing. That was the difference maker in the race that I ran against Green.
Yep.
We came in and we made the investment in the district, in those county parties.
Yes.
We didn't have a lot of money, Democrats in a sea of red. They didn't have a lot of money. Well, I was running against a popular foil. So we came in and we invested money into those county chairs. And what did that do? That turned out the vote. Those people got out. They had money to hire canvassers. They had money to do phone banking exercises. And we moved that district by 10 points.
Yep.
You move your district 10 points.
I'm going to Congress.
You're in Congress. Exactly. So, people, I encourage you to get out and help candidates like Robb. We're going to be highlighting a new candidate all the time on this show. Go to www.robbforcongress.com. That's ROBB4FOR Congress, CONGRES, all one word.com, and give him some money so that he can make that investment in this district. It's not too early to get started. There's no such thing as an off year when it comes to fighting for this democracy. It's what we need to be doing. We need to be supporting candidates like this, because guess what? And Ryan and I are going to get into it after Robb leaves, but they're trying to rig even harder than they're trying to rig before.
That's the truth.
This midterm, they're trying to rig it.
It's because they're scared.
It's
Absolutely should be.
It's fear. They're acting out of fear. We need to help guys like Robb out, because we can do it. We can compete everywhere, and we got to fight fire with fire.
Yep.
Robb, with that, I'm going to give you the last word here before you sign off. Anything you want to say to people?
Yeah. Thank you so much for this opportunity, guys, to talk about our campaign and what we're trying to do here in Arkansas. And folks who are listening or watching, like, they might wonder, well, Arkansas is a long ways away. I don't live there. Like, yeah. But we are so close to flipping the House of Representatives.
Yes.
And the best way to stop Donald Trump and his agenda is to flip the House of Representatives.
Yes.
And we've already begun, and we're running a kind of campaign that is going to shock people and is going to make a big difference. And so if you live in a blue district, or you live somewhere where the race isn't competitive, like, support somebody who's going to run a competitive race and actually flip a seat. Like, that's the work we're up to.
That's how we do it.
I love that.
Thank you guys so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you,
Robb.
And again, it's Robb for Congress, ROBBFOR Congress.com. So definitely go check them out. Send them a few bucks. Like, if everybody sends him $2, that's going to help him get some yard signs out. It's going to help him get his message out. So that's what we're here to do. Robb, thank you so much for coming on, sir. Appreciate you very
Ryan.
much.
Thank you, Marcus.
So
God bless you,
Robb
Robb.
Ryerse,
Right.
make sure you guys go support these candidates, because that's how we're going to fix this.
That's it. That's how we put a check and save democracy, is by flipping the House blue in these midterms. I mean, that's what's at stake here. It's democracy or not democracy. I mean, we're seeing Project 2025 in full effect right now.
Yep.
But this ain't the worst that they can do.
Yeah, no, they've just clicked off
Give them
the
another
easy
2
boxes
years.
so far. Yeah.
Give them another 2 years with the trifecta,
Yeah.
with the White House,
Congress,
Congress,
Yep.
and the Supreme Court. We got to get one of those chambers back. We got to get one of those.
We need a guardrail back. Yeah.
We got to have some guardrails.
We need a freaking guardrail back.
And what needs to happen is if Democrats manage to, fight back and keep this cheating with redistricting from derailing what should be us taking at least the House back, we got to pass some laws. We've got to pass some laws.
Man, we got to write some executive orders.
We need a president for that.
Yeah. But let's get into it, man, because, we talked a lot about what we wanted to talk about after having Robb on.
Yep.
And the biggest story this week really is the redistricting drama going on in Texas. For those of you who maybe, aren't quite familiar, the Texas Democrats all walked out and basically fled the state to avoid a vote on redistricting because they knew that it was going to pass because they didn't have the numbers. So, they're playing the game. Yeah. And so they're in Illinois right now. Yeah. Well, when we talked about the brand of this show, that's what we wanted it to be. Like, we want Democrats that are going to fucking fight.
That's it.
Jasmine Crockett going up to that mic and saying what she's saying. All those Democrat reps taking their kids and their families to Illinois, to fight for the people. They're not just fighting for Texans and the people in their district right now. Yes. They're in Illinois fighting for Americans, because if this is allowed to stand, if this precedent is set, they are going to run with it, and we are screwed.
Yeah. We can't be playing cards when the Republicans are over there playing chess, even though we're holding all the cards. We're not going to out moral high ground these guys. It just ain't going to happen. They're not even playing the same game. They're doing everything, and they're out in the open with it, everything they can to seize and take power for good.
Yep.
For good. That's what they're trying to do with these maps. So I'm all on board with Gavin Newsom saying, Texas, if you're going to do this, we're going to do it in California too. We need to have governors in New York, governors in Virginia, governors in Illinois, whatever blue states they are, they need to be doing the same thing. Even if they have these independent redistricting councils or committees.
The independent.
That's us trying to play by the rules and norms. We can't do it anymore if they're not going to do the same thing.
Nope.
We've got to fight fire with fire.
And we've already learned that the Supreme Court isn't going to protect us.
Not at all. They've shown us time and time again.
Elected representatives in Congress aren't going to protect us, and I'm mainly speaking about Republicans. Yeah. But we got a couple of dummies on our side too. It's just, we have no guardrails right now, and I don't know about you, man, but that really is the most terrifying part for me, is that when at least the first Trump term, there were people in place that were trying to keep it somewhat sane. Right?
They pushed back a little, and some, the only reason that he didn't get away with a lot of the things that he wanted to get away with.
Tell him, Marcus.
They were going to be mass walkouts. People were going to walk out en masse and say, we can't do this. Well, we're not living in that time anymore.
He learned from that and appointed loyalists.
Nothing but sycophants.
Yep.
Nothing but sycophants and loyalists. I think what was it, the loyalist test that they had going on?
Yeah.
So he's got the people in place.
Mm-hmm. Pam Bondi, Kash Patel.
All of them.
All of them. And them.
Bongino even. I mean, these guys may push back a little bit. Laura Loomer, what the hell is she doing?
And the fact that they haven't quit just shows you that their morals that they project on social media, really, they're for sale.
It tells you everything you need to know. It tells you everything you need to know. So we've got to, and Ryan and I talk about this all the time, you can't fight the fight that you want to fight. If you walk into a ring as a boxer and you've prepped for this fight for months on end, and you step into the ring with your opponent and they're not doing anything that you expect it to do, they're not fighting the fight that you thought, what are you going to do? You're just going to keep fighting the fight and get knocked out? Because getting knocked out is the equivalent of losing your democracy, losing your rights, having a king.
Yep.
No, you go back to your corner, you dust yourself off, and you adjust, and you go fight the fight that's in front of you.
Yep.
That's what you do. And that's what we have to do as Democrats. I mean, I'm a Democrat, Ryan. You're not, but that's what we got to do, Democrats.
Hey, but like I said, I'm waiting to come back.
Not the fight that we want, but the fight that we're in.
I'm still out here fighting for shit. I'm more loyal to Democrats than a lot of registered Democrats. Come on, step it up, folks.
Absolutely.
No, but I love that analogy because I always look at it from a battlefield perspective. You know, us being veterans, that just makes sense to me. Yeah. And I always kind of try to express to people, like, do you know how many things soldiers have to do that they don't want to do?
Absolutely.
Like morally. I'm not talking about not scrubbing the toilet. Yeah. I'm talking about you have to sometimes do things that are morally questionable that in our society you would not normally be faced with.
Right.
And it's like, I feel like we need to have that same mentality of, look, I get it. This isn't the way we would normally fight. It does. I would rather come out and everybody get along and have a conversation with my fellow Americans about baseball, football, anything but this. But we aren't there. And as much as I want, as much as Marcus wants it, we just aren't there, America. So I keep saying we've got people like Pete Buttigieg and Kamala Harris and Barack Obama, and we got plenty of people that have the high ground covered. So I think it's about time Marcus and I and the community that we're building here to get down in the mud and realize that we got to fight that battle down there too.
Yeah, but Ryan, they're going to say, well, if you get down in the mud and wrestle with the pig likes it and you just get dirty. That's going to be the counter argument. Well,
pig still gets hogtied in the end.
At the end of the day, that pig is still hogtied.
Hey,
and we keep it moving.
That's right.
We keep democracy moving. We keep pushing forward instead of taking huge steps back.
They like it until they squeal.
Again, that's one of the things we called it in the Army, embracing the suck.
Yep.
Because it sucked being deployed for 10 years. It did. Now,
very few people like being deployed.
I did it.
Yeah.
And it sucked, but I learned a lot. And I was going to be there with my brothers and sisters in arms doing the work for them. It's really for them, really for the American people.
But that's why you're still here.
Embrace it.
That's why we're still here.
That's why we're still here.
Our careers in terms of the government may have been very different, but every time we talk, every time we get on and do a show, I'm always reminded that the road travel may be different, but we still got to that same destination of this is bullshit.
And we see it. Everybody sees it. Even the people on the right that claim not to see it, and
they see it. They just aren't going to publicly admit it.
They see it. They see it.
That's why so many have gotten quiet. We see you all out there that have gotten quiet. I see you.
We do see. Your silence says everything.
Everything.
We're not talking about the price of eggs anymore. We're not talking about the economy anymore.
Oh, by the way, I don't know what gas is where you're at, but gas is sitting at like $3.50 where I'm at. So I'm still waiting for this $1.99 gas.
Yeah, I haven't seen $1.99 gas. It's not quite $3.50 where I'm at. I'm in Georgia, but it's at least in the 250s.
Yeah, I think the cheapest I've seen is like probably $2.99 for the cheap stuff, maybe $2.89. Yeah, but I can't put. Well, to be fair, I can't put cheap gas in my car, so that's.
I can put it in mine.
Part of the issue.
I watch those pennies.
Yeah, man. I mean, but again, it goes back to what we were talking about with Robb, during the show. So many of us are facing, economic uncertainty.
Absolutely.
It's just a reality. And I say that knowing that my wife and I, we're pretty blessed when it comes to that. And we're struggling. Yeah. Like my wife literally looked at me the other day after we went grocery shopping. She's like, we're struggling this bad. She's like, can you imagine other people?
Exactly.
And it's that empathy that I feel like we on our side, on the left, has.
Right.
And unfortunately, the right doesn't seem capable of embracing.
They're capable of it, but they don't want it for everybody else.
Mm.
They think everybody else being able to survive and even thrive in certain instances means that they're not, that they're taking something from me, or I
Yeah.
work hard and I'm giving money.
Yep.
It's not the way it works, guys. That's just not.
There's enough for us. There's enough for everybody.
There is. You know, if we stop doing billionaire tax breaks, you know,
It'd be amazing at how much better life might get for us all.
We can send Meemaw and Pawpaw to the hospital as they're aging and having to go to the hospitals more.
Hell, we could let them retire. What are you talking about? Most of them are working at 80.
Exactly.
And if you're okay with that,
that's another story.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Yeah.
But so let's wrap it up this week. Before I do, though, you got anything, brother?
Oh man, I did kind of want to see some clips from some of these governors.
Oh, we do have clips. I'm sorry, I forgot the clips.
Who were talking about, fighting back.
Sorry, my fault.
Let's run some of those clips.
Yep.
I just want to follow that up on the end, what they're saying.
Yeah, let's do it.
And get our producer to run that really quick.
Yeah.
So
history will judge us and how we respond to this moment. But here in New York, we will not stand on the sidelines with the timid souls on the sidelines who don't care, will not invest their heart and soul into this battle. This is a war. We are at war. And that's why the gloves are off, and I say, bring it on.
More of that, please. More of that, please.
It is a war.
I need to see a lot more of that on the Democratic side. And not just talking, but doing.
Thank you. Not just performative.
No.
But I want to see some action too.
That ain't going to get it done. We can't just talk about it.
Nope.
Be about it, as some rapper said way back when. Do we have any other clips?
Yeah, I think we got one or two more, right?
So Trump came up with a new scheme, rig the system, by ramming through a corrupt mid-decade redistricting plan that would steal 5 congressional seats, silencing millions of voices, especially Black and Latino voters. Let's be clear, this is not just rigging the system in Texas. It's about rigging the system against the rights of all Americans for years to come. Now, Texas Republicans submitted to the president's orders and took steps to advance Trump's Texas takeover. And while Texas Democrats have been trying to work across the aisle to deliver disaster relief after the devastating floods in central Texas, Republicans chose to use the tragedy as political cover to cheat.
I mean, that's what they're doing. They're cheating.
And it goes back to what we said, 10, 15 minutes ago. This is about a precedent being set. Once this precedent is set, we're in trouble.
Yes.
And we can't. The one thing that I try not to say "I told you so" every day, because that's not going to build a community.
No.
But it's like I don't even know what to say anymore.
Here's the thing.
I really don't.
I think I know where you're going. Republicans might have the upper hand when it comes to this redistricting thing.
Yeah.
But we've got to fight this fucking battle anyway.
Yep.
Because what's going to happen, and there won't be many of them, but there are those Republicans who lean towards the middle or independents who get outraged by this and say, this is obvious. They're just obviously cheating.
Yep.
They're obviously trying to steal power and fuck what the people want. This is what they want, which is power. There are going to be some who say that, and that's all we need.
Yeah.
We need the people to stand up. But we've got to fight those battles anyway.
And what I was going to say is what I need people to stop saying that's not going to happen, or that can't happen, or the Constitution says. They don't care.
They don't care.
And they will change the Constitution if you keep standing back and allowing what is happening to happen. So that's the message that Marcus and I want to leave you with today, which is we have to get loud. Okay. We have to. And most important, I'm going to echo what Jasmine Crockett said. I think it was yesterday. Don't leave these people out there hanging. No. Don't sit here and demand action from these liberals and Democrats, and then when they put themselves out there and do something like they just did in Texas, you better make sure that you go out there and support their asses, because we can't demand action and then not give them the tools and the support that they need to get the job done.
We've got to show up. We've got to
Show up. So with that, you got anything else, brother?
Thank you guys for joining us. All of you who joined us, stay tuned. We're going to be doing this every week. We're going to bring on candidates as many times as we can. And we're going to have the conversation over and over again.
Yep. And we want to know candidates that you'd like us to try to go get to come on the show. Let us know who you'd like to hear from. You know, we're about amplifying their platform. So send us names. We want to talk to who you want to hear from.
Absolutely.
So with that, I'll leave you with thank you again for Robb Ryerse for coming in and speaking with us today, who's running for Congress in Arkansas District 3. So make sure you go support him at robbforcongress.com, ROBBFOR Congress.com. So as always, much love, keep fighting, but most importantly, stay safe out there.
Stay safe, guys. We love you.